I'm very excited to share with you an answer to one of our prayers. As you know, we've been talking about a school of ministry because we desperately need more leaders in our leadership pipeline here in the Oregon Ministry Network. And I'm happy to announce that Yancey Valdez has said yes to leading our School of Ministry. Yancey, it's great to have you here today. Would you tell us who you are? Tell us what you do, what brought you to Oregon, and give us a little bit of history about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to do this. Jill, my wife Jill and I, we've been in ministry for 30 plus years, started up as ministry interns, youth pastors, worship pastors, and then when I became a lead pastor, she was my executive pastor. And we've always had a ministry focus on church planting, church revitalization, and just raising up leaders in the local church. And we've served in different networks, Southern California, Washington, Arizona, but then we found ourselves here up in Oregon. It was an interesting time when the Lord called us to serve in Troutdale at Columbia Life Church at the time. We were voted in that very first Sunday in March of 2020. And then 2 weeks later, when we were going to have our first service, COVID hit. So we had to move everything online, but we figured it out, and we were still able to bring the church to a place of better health, wider impact, and just a greater potential for the future. And how we kind of find ourselves here today is, well, about 30 years ago when I began my journey, I knew that the Lord did not call me to, quote, retire as a lead pastor. That somewhere in my 50s, I was going to experience this ministry shift. And that part of my job, getting close to that point, was to prepare the church for the next generational pastor. Well, all of that happened last year. And so that ministry shift happened. I began focusing my ministry on writing, starting a podcast. I work also once a week over at the Adult and Teen Challenge Men's Home in Estacada, where I literally get to see men coming off the streets, finding Jesus, and literally having a life transformation. I've also been serving in our schools over the years, and especially over the last couple of years. When I've come and taught in the schools, I've gotten so much favor with students, teachers, faculty. Last year I was on 25 different campuses alone. I don't need a school assembly. I've got to minister a lot of people. The result of that is I probably have more relationships with people outside of the church than I do inside the church. And so that's where we're at right now.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming to Oregon. You're an answer to our prayer. You were an answer when you came to Troutdale, even though we came at that awkward time, and you're an answer right now. Speaking of answers, you felt the Lord nudge you or get your attention last year at the summit. Tell me about that experience and what happened that day.
Well, the word was discouragement. I heard someone, it was either you or someone at Network Summit said that the number one reason pastors are leaving the ministry is because of discouragement. And just something began stirring in my heart. And then I heard you share that you were looking for someone to help to begin a school of ministry. And one of my favorite passages, or at least one that's always been burdened to me, is that passage in Matthew chapter 9, verses 35 to 38, where it says, Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in the synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every kind of sickness and disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion for them, for they were weary and scattered like sheep, having no shepherd. And then he said to his disciples that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Pray for the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into the harvest. And that just resonated in my heart because I realized that we don't have, like you said, we don't have enough laborers for the harvest. And so this is why that school of ministry just resonated with me. And I felt God at that time speaking to me saying, hey, you can be part of the solution. And I'm like, God, are you speaking to me? And I could feel my wife tapping me on the shoulder. She looked me in the eye and she says, hey, that's you. And I'm thinking, well, let's go talk with Pastor Lee. I went down to the floor and said, hey, if there's anything confirming in your heart, I just want to let you know I'm here to help if you need my help.
And that was the end of April. So May, June, July, August, and September, we were just kind of walking through the process. We were exploring other options, looking at other models around the United States, other districts and networks. We found a model that seems to fit Oregon pretty well, and that model is in Arizona. So we've been in contact with the leadership there. In June, we zoomed in the leader of that particular Arizona School of Ministry to the presbytery. We all felt good about it. We prayed about it. And so at the end of September, I said, Yancey, would you come and help us build this in Oregon? So we're excited about that. We're anticipating that we might be able to be ready in the spring. Is that doable?
Yeah, if we're building on the infrastructure, there's a lot of things that got to be put in place. But with the timeline we got, and if things come together, we can put that infrastructure in place. We do need teachers, obviously we need students, but if things come together, yeah, we can get that launched in the spring.
So we're going to build a web page or a landing page on our website, and we're in the process of that. It's not there yet, so don't go and look for it. But right now, if someone was interested in talking to you about being a teacher, and I've had a lot of people say, when you have the School of Ministry up and going, I'd love to teach. Well, now's the time they can come and talk with you. Or if they're interested from a student perspective or what that might look like, or any discussion about the School of Ministry, they could contact you. And you do have an email address set up with the Oregon Ministry Network, and that'll be on the screen where people can see that. And we're just excited. We're excited about what God is going to do. And we want to work really hard to fill that pipeline of leadership. And we think that an Oregon School of Ministry, OSOM, is that what we're going to call it?
I think we agreed on OSOM might be the best thing.
OSOM will be the acronym. So when you hear that, that's what we're talking about. Thank you, Yancey.